What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Foot Candle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Foot Candle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. With me, as always, Chris Fry. One day I'm going to surprise everybody.
Be somebody
and
else.
say,
so you're saying you're gonna fire me?
Somebody else. No. I'm just, if you ever take a temporary leave of absence or you go on a super long vacation.
When I go over to Cannes.
Right.
I'm gone.
When you go to Cannes, which, we get invited every year, but we have to politely decline because we're busy.
Fair enough.
But if you decide to go one year, then I'll bring in somebody else and just throw everybody off kilter for like a week or two. But until that day, as always, Chris Fry across the table from me. We're both with the Foot Candle Film Society. We are directors of that nonprofit organization. We also are the directors of the film festival that happens every year. In September of this year, we will be having our next one. More to come on that before too long. And here we are as co-host of the Foot Candle Films podcast, where we talk about movies. We review films that are new in the theaters or streaming online. We also talk about some movie news. We have a few trailers to share today in this episode about some movies coming out over the next few months that we're curious about. And I think we'll end the episode, Chris, if I'm correct, with a recommendation from you as well.
Yes.
A film recommendation from Chris that if you're looking for something to fill up your watch queue this coming weekend or any other time, Chris will have you taken care of. But Chris, we do have a main review of a film we're going to discuss first, and that is a new film in the theaters as of this past weekend. It is the film The Sheep Detectives. That'll be the film that we'll be reviewing, starring Hugh Jackman and a slew of tons of other people voicing various forms of sheep. Directed by Kyle Balda, and we will discuss that film here in just a minute, followed by trailers and recommendations. So that is the plan. Is there any pleasantries we need to get out of the way, Chris, before we get started, or are we good to go?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
We're good to jump right in?
Let's do it.
All right. Here's our review of The Sheep Detectives.
If there's one secret to happiness in my life, it's taking care of the kindest creatures on earth. Sheep. I want you to meet my flock.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be.
I keep them well fed, well groomed, and each day I read out loud to them mysteries, whodunits. I know who the killer was. I like to pretend that they follow along, but they're only sheep.
Ah, why would he stop there?
He was just about to say who the killer was.
This is torture. It was the maid, right?
When I
Wake up! Everybody wake up!
We found George on the grass, and he's not moving.
What?
Lily, tell us what to do.
Our shepherd was murdered. And we shall solve the crime.
It was noted on your bio on the old Foot Candle Films webpage, Alan, that you were an aficionado of talking live-action animal films like Babe, Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. With The Sheep Detectives, we have a new talking animal film from director Kyle Balda, whose previous works include the purely animated films Minions, Despicable Me 3, and Minions, The Rise of Gru. Did Balda's first entry into the live-action pasture work for you, or based on your experience with The Sheep Detectives, do you think he'd best stick to familiar grazing territory?
Whoa, very nice question. Can I add on to that question even to make it a little bit more complex? You mentioned director Kyle Balda and his pedigree.
Yes.
Great, but also let's talk about the writers of this film, which I think is fascinating. Craig Mazin is one of the writers, and if you look at his filmography that he's been involved with, he was a writer for the television miniseries Chernobyl. He was a writer for
Family
the
Fair
television series The Last of Us. Um, so those are the kind of things he's been writing. So I'm like, all right, yeah, this is a really interesting project for both of these people to get into. And your question was basically, do I like the Sheep Detectives?
And
is what it boiled down to.
I'm guessing, I didn't go look at your letterbox, but I don't know how many of the Minions or Despicable Me 3 movie or
I don't think I've seen any
movies
of them.
you've seen.
I don't think I've seen any.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, I'll just say I love the Sheep
But
Detectives.
talking animal movies.
Well,
you're big
and I
on.
got to put a little caveat on
Yep.
it. It's talking animal movies when the mouth are moving.
Okay.
So you mentioned Homeward Bound.
Okay.
Not really a favorite of mine because that does the whole thing where they just dub voices over in animals and just try to match it up with the animal moving around, and you don't
but
actually.
the lips aren't moving.
Right. It's when the lips are moving and I buy it. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm on board with this movie.
Got you.
The Sheep Detectives. Let me just get this out of the way first. I think before I get into the film and story and acting, the animation on these sheep, I think, is really good. I honestly loved watching these creatures on screen and the personalities they were able to instill in each one. The only time I was pulled out of the film by the animation, there are some small little sheep. I don't know what you call baby sheep. It's just baby sheep.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Baby sheep.
Baby sheep.
Baby sheep, when they would do a lot of jumping around or maybe like crawling through a window and tumbling down. It's like, all right, yeah, that was pretty obvious CGI. And of course I know all of it's CGI.
Sure.
But that was the only time there was like the animation kind of pulled me out. But like when we're watching the sheep just walking around talking, and I'm like, I'm buying this. It's like this, I'm feeling like they got this right.
Okay. Good.
I just really love this movie. It was charming. It was sweet. It was a good kind of throwback style movie that I just don't feel like we get that much anymore. It was relatively simple, even though the concept's pretty high concept. It's a, a shepherd spends every night reading his flock of sheep. He reads murder mysteries to them. One night he dies and they believe it may be murder. So the sheep actually take it upon themselves to try to help figure out who murdered their shepherd.
Right.
In a high concept, but it's done in just such a nice, pleasant way. And it got me towards the end. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It just worked for me. I thought this was a really nice, fun film. You mentioned Babe early in the setup as far as a film I like a lot. It's really like a spiritual equivalent of that film. I mean, it truly is like the same style, the same feel. I don't know. It worked. So I had a really good time with it. Was it the best murder mystery reveals, and did all of that really work? Maybe not as much, but I didn't care by that point in the film. I was just having a good time with it. So I like this film quite a bit. But Chris, I've got more to say, but Chris, I want to hear your thoughts. What did you think of the Sheep Detectives?
So we had talked about, I think, the trailer maybe on the show. And then again, I harken back to it, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. It was one of the 10 films I was looking forward to in this year just because it seemed like a kind of interesting concept. And it was based on a novel. So I was like, okay, there's material. It's not just some idea like, okay, we know people like talking animals. Let's just make a movie. It doesn't really matter what the story is.
Right.
Like, I was like, no, there's something there. Oh, it's a murder mystery. Okay. You're getting me more and more interested. But I do know it's a kid's movie. It's PG. So going in, I'm like, okay, my expectations are lowered because I am an adult now. I've seen lots of movies. So like, I know they're gearing this towards their audience. So will there be anything for me in this? And there was, and I actually appreciated the mystery. That's what I was really surprised is there was as much of a mystery as there was. And they tried as much as they can, because you don't want to scare kids or confuse them too much. They tried to make it an interesting mystery. It wasn't just like, oh, yeah, I can kind of see where this is going. I kind of know who's going to. No, they kept it as friendly and convoluted as they could, but kept it convoluted. I felt like in a way, I was watching like a Knives Out mystery, although, it's very friendly, and two, instead of, I think it would have been a path that maybe a lesser film would have taken. Hugh Jackman, the shepherd, it's not misdirection and maybe like, oh, we think no, he's dead.
Yeah. Right.
So that's kind of it's heavy for a kids movie.
At one point, I was thinking it was going to go the
Some
really
misdirection.
kind of cop out route of,
Right.
oh, it's just natural
some
causes,
reason,
and the
right.
sheep just kind of got it all built in their heads that it was a murder, and it wasn't.
Yeah, so
I'm like,
not
no,
only
it was-
he
yeah.
died,
Yeah.
he died, but also murder.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think those are kind of interesting challenges for the film to take. Granted, it's rated PG, not G, but I was interested in that. And then there's another character along the way that also dies. And they handle it well, but I was just kind of
Oh,
impressed.
right. Yeah, yeah.
I was kind of impressed that it was like,
Mhm.
okay, we've now had
Mhm.
2 deaths in
Mhm.
this film.
Yeah.
So a little bit more, I guess, adult than I was expecting. But
Mhm.
overall, the thing that really surprised me was how much I liked and was engaged in the mystery.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect, because I knew it was more of a children's film, I didn't
Mhm.
expect to be as engaged as I was. And I really enjoyed the reveal
Okay.
at the end, the way
Yeah.
that sequence was done, because at first you're like, oh, wait, yeah, that was kind of an obvious person. And then it's like, oh, nope, that's not what he was saying at all. Like,
Yeah.
And because the person who is stumbling through the reveal does not very well communicate what he's
Right.
doing. And
Yeah.
so therefore it's like, wait, what? And so that was funny. Instead of just having a typical, more like Benoit Blanc reveal where he just states this, and you
Yeah.
go along, it was kind of took a little bit of a different
Well,
spin.
okay,
So
let
I
me
liked
back
it.
up. So my
Sure.
my issue is not necessarily with the scene in which the reveal was made. I actually thought that was kind of charming and fun. It's more of the, and again, I can't really talk about it without spoiling. It's more of the, if you really think about the person,
Okay.
and I'm just going to say it has to do with, I have questions about George's history based on
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
some things that I think by the end of the movie, I'm just like, okay. All right. I get the murder. I get the plot. I get all that. I'm like,
Sure.
I'm just now more curious about George as a person.
Right.
And that kind of tilted me off just a hair,
Well, and
you
I,
know,
I
so
yeah, I understand. And there again, as we always do, we say, take a drink. We're not going to spoil anything. But yes, some of that was a little confusing. And I think
mhm.
in an attempt to keep things PG,
Yeah, right. I know.
they explained
really
it, but then they just
glossed
kind
over
of,
that.
yeah. And I
yeah.
think that's because I would imagine in the novel, it's a little bit more like, oh, I get
Yeah.
it's still revelatory and people still like it, but and so they kind of glossed over things just to
Yeah.
kind of make it a little bit more family
That's my
friendly.
only
Right,
quibble with the film.
right. And I
honestly.
was just, but I was impressed it was as convoluted and complicated as it ended
Yeah.
up being. I was like, oh,
I mean, when you're
okay.
to the point of a murder mystery, my issue had been with definitely the first Knives Out movie, is I didn't think it was at all possible to figure out
Mm.
who the murderer was.
I got
okay,
you.
the way they told you in the story,
I
it's
got
like you got fed all the information you needed when the reveal happened. It's like, oh well, yeah, if I had been given these clues the last 2 hours, I might be able to figure this out, but I couldn't.
Right.
With this film, there were some things that if you really thought through it, you could have made some assumptions and actually kind of made some educated guesses on things as well, which I liked. I'm like, yes, they actually wrote this as a true mystery that the viewer could actually figure out,
Right.
you know, which is always nice.
And we won't relitigate the Knives Out series, but I like all 3. I think you like the second and third installment.
I like the second and third better than the first
one.
Yeah.
And I like, but I will say one of my biggest problems, not with the Knives Out, but with the Miss Marple mysteries that Kenneth Branagh has done,
Mhm.
the Agatha Christie things.
Well, those are Hercule Poirot, not Miss Marple. But
Yeah, right. But Agatha Christie.
Yeah, Agatha
and
Christie,
So
yes.
Agatha
Mhm.
Christie, the big thing that I have, and he's done 3, I think, and I've actually
Yes.
seen all 3. And it's more of a fault of Agatha Christie, I guess, not with
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh or, the fact that it's Hercule Poirot as opposed to Marple. But I have your complaint that
Mhm.
you have with the first Knives Out is like, yeah, there's no way I could guess any of this.
Right.
And the reason I like watching mysteries is because I like to, not that I expect to do it, because then what fun would it be if you guess in the first 30 minutes who it's going to be
Mhm.
like, that's no fun. Or
Right.
at least it wouldn't be for me. So I like to think I can at least try to solve stuff.
Yes. It's the idea that you could. Or at least it's possible for you to do
With
it.
Agatha Christie stuff, those 3 movies, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
At the
the
end,
stuff
I'm
just
just like
comes out of,
eye
like,
rolling because
nowhere.
it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But with this, it was like, oh, and I was impressed that it was like, yeah, I agree. I think if I were to watch it a second time, I would even be more amazed at how basically I feel like they drop you hints that maybe they don't need to, but they're just trying to be like, okay.
I'll just say
it's
the
like,
use
yeah,
of
it's clever.
use of color,
Yeah.
paint color. I mean, they're obviously letting you know early on in the film, hey, there's something to this. This is important.
Right.
And it's like, I found myself the whole film like, okay, what could that mean? And I'm trying to think of scenarios. So I'm like, yes, this is what a good murder mystery should do. Is I should be picking up on a little clue and being like, all right, what does this mean? And can I figure this out? And when the reveal happens, you say, oh, yeah, okay.
Got you.
Got it. That makes sense based on everything we saw. And this film pulled that off. So yeah, it
I
did.
agree.
What'd you think about the sheep? I mean, it being CGI animated characters and the voice actors doing them and all that. I mean,
a lot of times when you walk into speaking of, the Agatha Christie movies that Kenneth Branagh has done and the Knives Out movies, you see the casts, and a lot of times you're curious because you're like, oh, it looks like a good cast, but that can also be kind of a danger sign. You're like, oh boy, because it's like, okay, story's not going to be that great, but we're just going to give you all these stars and it'll be fun to watch them in these situations. But this is one of the examples where I feel like it's maybe not always the case. I wish it was. The live action cast was great. And I feel like the voice cast was equally as great.
I agree.
So like any fears that I have, like, oh, this is a stacked cast, and sometimes that can be a bad omen. But no, in this sense, it was really good because Hugh Jackman, I think he's just the point now where he could basically do anything.
Yeah.
And I like him. And not that this is a hard role for him, but
it's an
he's
effortless role for him. It was
effortless.
very easy for him to pull this off.
Right.
And,
I guess I would like to see Hugh Jackman do, which I can't off the top of my head think of one where he's been a bad like villain, a really like evil bad.
And I did
villain.
think that was one thing interesting in the film is that early in the film we learn the townspeople perception of him,
which is kind of
and it does actually kind of lead to what I was saying, kind of like knowing more about his background.
Right.
I would have probably enjoyed seeing someone that's a more detestable person playing this role. Because I think the key is that he's seen as just this really mean, cranky person by the rest of the town, but the sheep love him. And that's the whole thing. But here we have Hugh Jackman, and
everybody loves
we
Hugh
just
Jackman.
love him, all the way around. And it's like when he comes into town and people are grumbling about him, I'm like, why are you grumbling about Hugh Jackman? How can you hate him? So I do feel like, I'm not saying it's a miscast, but I'm saying it would have been interesting to see a more
grizzled,
divisive person play this role.
Gotcha.
But I still think it worked. I mean, it worked with him in there. He's good at it. It's just, it took a little harder to swallow the idea that everybody found him detestable as a person. So anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. But I think all the voice acting was great. Honestly, I didn't even know who most of the actors were until I saw the credits at the end.
Okay.
Which was kind of nice because it's like, I got lost in the voices. I didn't try to say, oh, that sounds like Patrick Stewart or whatever. It's like, I really didn't know who they were. And the only one I knew was Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Lily. I knew she had a kind of a main voice, and she's kind of our lead sheep, in the film. But we've got Regina Hall, we've got Chris O'Dowd, we've got Bryan Cranston, we've got Patrick Stewart, Bella Ramsey, all just really great. And I loved the sheep community that they built and the personalities with the characters.
The one
was really fun.
There, you mentioned you talked about a slight misgiving you had about the animation of like the baby sheep. Sometimes I had 2 slight misgivings. My first was not the baby sheep themselves, but specifically one that's the winter, what they call winter lamb.
Winter lamb.
Within the context of the film, it just seemed a little bit like plucking at the heartstrings, maybe a little bit. And then kind of like from the moment he appears, I'm like, okay, that was a tell that I felt was a little obvious and maybe a little, but I'm an adult, I'm not a kid. So, but it just was a little not heavy-handed, but it was just a little obvious. So that was kind of like, and it played out kind of the way I thought things would, but it's okay. I give it a pass, but that was like a slight little misgiving. Okay. The other one I had, Bryan Cranston, love Bryan Cranston. He plays Sebastian, which is a older statesman ram. Liked him in the film, thought he did great. But from the moment that his character kind of took on the persona of the elder statesman who's kind of removed, it reminded me a lot of Bryan Cranston voicing the dog in Isle of Dogs, where he played this like, so it was kind of like a familiar, like he's done voice work before, and he was good in that, but it was kind of like, kind of a apart from everyone else type thing. But still good. So it reminded me of other things, but hey, that's fine. So
I think this is an incredibly charming, fun film. It didn't go too heavy on the laughter and silly stuff. I didn't think it was nice and tempered. The laughs were good. There was enough slightly skewing adult humor in the humor and the funny parts that made it a cross-generational appeal to it.
Sure.
Again, I like the characters in general, both the human and the sheep characters. Thought were really fun. Yes, it hit on the sentimentality. It poured it on pretty hard at the end, but I thought it was all fairly well earned. So I was good with all of it. It was great. I mean, really, I as much as I love Babe, this to me is like right up there. It's like same kind of caliber, same idea. I love these style movies, and this one worked.
I'll say too, the cast of characters where we mentioned Hugh Jackman, but some of the other real life people that aren't just voices. One I really want to call out, Nicholas Braun, who plays Officer Tim Derry, and people know him probably mainly from Succession, where he was on that show. I liked him here, but I kind of feel like in a way he's getting typecast as like a doof, but he does it really well.
He plays a doof really well. So,
he does. Yeah. And I think in a way that's also a little bit of something for adults to hang their hat on, because it's like, oh, you know who this guy is. You know he's good, but here he's going to get to just be funny. It's not going to be darkly funny like it is, but so it's like, oh, okay, I can get on board because of him. Another live action person that I think is really good that, what is her name? She's in The Bear. I'm blanking on her name right now. She plays, Carmi's girlfriend in The Bear.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about, Molly Gordon.
Yes. Molly Gordon. I thought she was good. And she plays, some of the tightrope walking she has to do to kind of give you just enough details about her character, but not like, She was really good.
Well, and it was interesting because, when they introduced her character,
right,
the first several scenes you had with her are meant intentionally to
make you feel
you have confusion about her character, which again, a lot of these characters were rolled out that way. It's like it's left ambiguous. And I like the fact that with each of the characters, well, most of them, there are a couple that were very stereotypical. The minute you introduce to them, you know who they are. Sure, a couple that's like they did kind of evolve through the story. Hong Chow plays a woman who's like an innkeeper or something in town. And and when she's introduced, she's played up a certain way. But by the end of the film, you're like, oh no, there's some depth there. There's something more interesting that character. Molly Gordon's the same way.
Right. I think what was impressive is instead of just being an example of a mystery, this actually, in a way, took a Scream approach where there's like, hey, you know how things play out. You do these three things. You reveal this, you reveal that. And like they lay out, okay, this is what's going to happen. And you see that happening in the film, but they evolve it just enough so that it keeps you engaged. So like I already said, a lot more complicated than it had to be, but it works because it is that complicated. Kept me engaged. Yeah. So impressive.
Agreed. Well, it sounds like we are both pretty big fans of The Sheep Detectives. So
I'm going to close out by asking you, Alan. The film was based on a 2005 novel, Three Bags Full. There was a sequel to the novel in 2010 called Big Bad Wool. Are you interested in seeing a sequel?
Sure.
Based on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that this does well enough that they made, because this is something unlike the Million Minions movie, of which we're getting a new one. I don't think he's directing it, but we are getting a new Minions movie. Yeah, this is a new enough that, if they can make a second one based off a book, so there's enough material to do it, then, a new mystery, then I think it could be worthwhile.
Yeah,
so.
no, I completely agree. I'd be game for it. Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm actually game to see this movie again, like this one. So yeah, bring it on. I love it. I think it's great. A lot of fun. And I like the fact that I can say safely to people, hey, it's great for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple moments with the whole murder thing can be a little intense for really young kids, but they keep it just at the level where it's like, it's not going to freak anybody out, I don't think, or be too disturbing.
Right.
But it spans, I mean, I know in the theater this past weekend, I mean, there were all the way from people bringing little kids, families, to senior citizens coming to watch it as a couple. And it's like, this is the kind of movie that can do that. And I think it's applicable to just about any kind of audience. So it's great. It's very good. Love it. All right. Well, that is the Sheep Detectives. We will see how long it stays in the theaters based on how it's performing. I think this one, from what I read, might have a little bit of a longer shelf life just because critics are responding good. Audiences are responding good. It's getting a lot of good buzz, and it being a multi-generational type film, those typically can stay around a little bit longer and get a little more life out of them than your big, very specific age demographic blockbuster. So yeah.
Sure.
All right. And just for kick, the opening title, I guess is the MGM lion, but having the sheep noise, I thought was just perfect.
Perfect. Spot on.
Loved it. Yep.
Nice.
All right. Sheep Detectives, now playing and strongly recommended by both Chris and myself. All right. Chris, let's take a quick break. We come back. We've got 3 trailers to watch of films coming up soon, and we got a recommendation from you of a film to check out as well. So stay tuned. You're listening to Foot Candle Films. We'll be right back.
Want to discover great podcasts or maybe even start one of your own? Welcome to The Mesh, Western North Carolina's podcast network built for creators and listeners alike. From local sports and business to comedy and culture, The Mesh is home to unique voices and fresh perspectives. Do you have something you want to say? The Mesh can help you bring your podcast to life with the tools, support, and platform you need to be heard. Check us out at themesh.tv, where great podcasts live and new ones are born.
Welcome back to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. We had our review of The Sheep Detectives in the first half of the show. Very positive review from both of us with very few misgivings about that film. So definitely recommended to check out. Speaking of checking out, let's check out some other films coming out in the coming months that are in the form of trailers that we have available to watch now. This is our little tasting, our little sampling of the film before it's released in theaters and in the coming months. And at least with one of these, I know we've talked about it in news. I think maybe not as a dedicated news item, but maybe in relation to this director's previous film and like what was going to be his follow-up. And we talked about this.
Right.
So let me kick it off here. Let's talk about Resident Evil. Now, just on the surface right away, you tell me Resident Evil. I'm like, not interested.
Yeah, haven't played the video game.
Haven't played the games, and I know they've made a whole series of movies based on this before, and I've not seen a single one of them.
Same.
But where you get me interested, as you say, that filmmaker Zach Cregger, he of Barbarian and, most importantly, Weapons from last year, this is his next film. He is taking on the Resident Evil franchise and doing something with it. And it's also starring Austin Abrams, who played the strung-out junkie kid in Weapons, which I thought was really good, and anxious to see him as a lead in a film like this. So let's take a look at the trailer that they just released for Resident Evil, and we'll see if, see if it sparks any interest at all. I mean, I've already got some interest to want to see this movie now just because of Zach Cregger.
Sure.
But it still needs to sell me a little bit. So let's see if this trailer does that or not. So here we go. Teaser trailer for Resident Evil.
Hello? I had a little bit of a problem on the road. I was wondering if I could use your phone. Hello?
We're sorry.
Hey, babe. Look, I'm really sorry that we got disconnected earlier, but, some things have, happened. I'm in, like, a serious situation right now.
All right, that was the teaser trailer for Resident Evil by writer-director Zach Cregger, coming out sometime later this year. Don't know exact date here. Chris, that was your first taste of this?
Yes.
And any immediate takeaways for us here?
So two. First is, I think when we had discussed on the show, they had revealed a little bit maybe of the cast, maybe,
Yes.
other than the fellow you already mentioned. And from some of the people that we had seen kind of listed as cast, we thought, oh, maybe it's going to be a slightly, we knew it was going to be a horror because of what it's based on, but it was going to kind of have like funny elements. Maybe we were guessing some levity to it. Trailer looks really intense and super scary and also gory. So I don't know if that's just to make assure fans like, hey, no, this isn't going to be like a comedy. This isn't going to be a Shaun of the Dead. No, this is serious. I'm still interested to see it, but I am definitely going to make sure I'm sitting at the back of the theater so people don't see me do all the jumps with all the different jump scares.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because it is not what I had originally thought, but it was going to be. But I'm still curious to see it. And I will say this: if the film's successful, he had Barbarian, he had weapons, he follows it up with this, and if it's a big film, like I think Mr. Cregger can just, do anything he wants after this because he also, the Oscar, Weapons got an Oscar for Amy Madigan. It's just like, okay, this film's not obviously going after Oscars, except maybe special effects. I don't know. But like, if this is like a blockbuster thing, then he's just going to be like unstoppable.
No,
as far as like, he can just tell Hollywood, this is what I want to do. Fund it.
Yeah, it's true.
So we'll see.
The cast you were alluding to is Paul Walter Hauser and Zach Cherry are both in the film.
Which, I assume, they can do dramatic things, but I think of them as being more like levity. So
yeah, we'll definitely see. Yeah, it looks like Zach Cregger's getting to go. I mean, his previous two films obviously had horror elements to them. Obviously, they were a lot more about the build up to horror, and the actual true horror scenes were a little more sparse, which I think is what worked for the film. My curiosity is, it looks like he gets to go full like, horror, gore, everything.
Like Evil Dead looking.
Right.
Stuff,
and it's like, is that going to work? I don't know, because that wasn't what we really saw in either of his previous two films. Barbarian ends with a pretty, a creature of a sort, but I don't know. I think his more effective work was the stuff leading up to the reveal of these creatures and characters and the dread and the build up to them. So is this film just going to be constant blood, gore, violence and scary stuff? I don't know, but we'll see how he pulls it off if it is. I'm very curious about this film. Can't say I'm excited just because the subject matter is just still not really up my alley, but I will definitely see it because of Mr. Cregger for sure. So,
gotcha.
All right. Well, that's Resident Evil. All I see is a 2026 release date. I don't see an actual date in front of me. So
maybe towards like Halloween or October.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. I think anytime you can release a horror film in October is always a good thing.
A scary season release. Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at our second trailer. This is a film titled The Wizard of the Kremlin. Director is Olivier Assayas. And this film stars Paul Dano, Jude Law, and Alicia Vikander. In the chaos of post-Soviet Russia, rising KGB officer Vladimir Putin, played by Jude Law.
Heard of him.
Yep. Joins forces with master manipulator Vadim Barovnov, played by Paul Dano, to reshape life behind the Iron Curtain using violence and deception to change the world forever. So, in order, it's a little bit of a origin story of Vladimir Putin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see this film causing any controversy whatsoever when it comes out.
No,
it'll be completely absorbed and well regarded, and people will love that they're making this movie. Now, look, yes, it is poking a little bit of a bear making this film. I'm assuming that we're going to see a little more of a, this isn't going to be a glowing piece about Mr. Putin. This is much more of a, yes, this is how his rise to power happened. So whether this will work with audiences, I don't know. We'll have to see. It was interesting timing to obviously have this movie come out.
Sure.
But let's take a look at the trailer for this film. The trailer for The Wizard of the Kremlin, coming soon. I think this film's got a release date. Also, I just see 2026. I don't see an actual date. But anyway, here we go. Here's the trailer.
Russia needs a new president. He's young, athletic. He's a spy. KGB. Vladimir Putin.
What interests me is power.
Vadim Baranov was a visionary director. He became known as the new Rasputin.
I want to be part of my time, not just a witness.
I cannot be subservient to anyone.
Our goal is chaos. We'll get into people's heads. We'll build the myth that the Russians are controlling the modern world.
All right. That was the trailer for The Wizard of the Kremlin, coming out later this year. Chris, any initial takes, thoughts on this?
So I do know who Vladimir Putin is.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the world does know who he is. Other figures in Russian history, not as familiar with, but the the person that Paul Dano is portraying seems to be an interesting corollary parallel to Steve Bannon.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I think this film, because of, like you say, because it's obviously being released, being made at this time, because it's trying to speak to different issues going on in the world. It's really going to have probably maybe a bar to pass that other films wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it does. I mean, all the acting involved looks amazing. So we'll see. And if nothing else, I feel like I will get some insight into some of the makings of Vladimir Putin, which I know who he is, but other than that, I don't know like how he came to be who he is now.
Right.
So will be interesting. So
So Assayas, the director, unfortunately, I'm not up on many of his films at all. I mean, I know he did Personal Shopper,
which I've seen.
Yeah, with that was with Kristen Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Clouds of Sils Maria did before that. Nonfiction, not familiar with. Irma Vep, I think he did with Alicia Vikander, I believe.
I didn't see that. So I think
that was a TV show.
Yeah,
series.
Clouds of Sils Maria and Personal Shopper are maybe the two things I've seen from him.
Yeah. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see. His last film was Suspended Time, which also not familiar with. That one starred, he wrote and directed that and doesn't really have any big names to it or any stars attached. Anyway, be curious to see. This seems to be kind of a bigger budget film for him and like obviously a higher profile
bunch
film.
Of Hollywood stars. I mean, we've mentioned Vikander, Jude Law, Paul Dano. Also happy to see Jeffrey Wright. Anytime Jeffrey Wright pops up, I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
So
good.
Yeah.
So that is coming soon. We will definitely be curious to see how well that is received or how that plays when it actually comes out. All right. Our last film in our trailer tapas section of our show is the film Focker-in-Law. Yes, this is another one of the Robert De Niro, Ben Stiller, Meet the Fockers. Actually, Meet the Parents was the original, the OG film in the series.
Which I have seen.
Followed by Meet the Fockers.
Did not see.
I did see that. And then there was Little Fockers.
Also did not see
I did not either. So you and I have both traipsed off the chain
We have.
of this series. But here it is. I think it's almost been 16 years since the last Fockers movie in the FCU, Fockers Cinematic Universe.
Nice.
Yeah. And we have Focker and Law now. So the catch on this, for anybody not familiar with the series, it is Ben Stiller plays, in the first one, played someone who was going to meet the parents of his fiance.
Mm-hmm.
And he and the father-in-law kind of have an adversarial relationship, played by Robert De Niro. That was kind of the whole crux of the film.
Gotcha.
Then second one was they go to meet Ben Stiller's character's parents, who are played by Dustin Hoffman and Barbra Streisand. Then the third one, I think kids are involved. I'm assuming with the title.
With the title, sure.
This one, we have Robert De Niro again. We have Ben Stiller again. And Ariana Grande has joined the franchise. She is going to be playing, I believe, the fiance of Ben Stiller's son.
Okay.
That's what I believe. I've not seen the trailer, so we'll find out for sure if that's the deal. But this film is obviously leaning in hard with Grande being a part of the cast. She is even in the posters. Her name is up there right with De Niro and Stiller.
Is it going to be a musical?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how this works out. We haven't seen
Wicked,
Ariana Grande do a film that wasn't a musical, right? I mean,
I don't think so.
I don't think we have. All right. Well, let's take a look and see the trailer for Focker in Law and see what we think here.
Don't worry. I test all the potential new family members with this machine. Is your name Olivia Jones?
Yes.
You love Henry Focker?
Very much.
Do you have a positive impression of Henry's family so far?
Yes.
Hello. Hey. The old machine. It's funny to be on the outside. Used to be in the hot seat.
Would you like to ask me some questions, Greg?
Okay, Olivia, do you think I hold Henry emotionally hostage?
I mean, yeah. You call him Wee Wee?
Wee Wee?
What is that, like a joke about his Wee Wee?
Oh, nope. No jokes about Henry's little penis. I mean, not little. You probably have more up-to-date info on it. I haven't seen it for a while, so.
Dad, please stop talking.
All right.
So that was the trailer for Focker in Law. Chris, initial thoughts?
I mean, I will say it looks like, but there again, I'm afraid every single joke in the film has now been spoiled by that. I can't imagine that was a teaser. I think that's like, here's a full-length trailer.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande looks like she's having fun. She looks like she's up to the challenge of being a daughter-in-law to this family. It looks like it could be fun. They have waited 16 years. I recognize the fellow that is Ben Stiller's son. Can't come up with the actor's name right off.
Yes.
But he was in Licorice Pizza. He's been in some other things.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad to see him, getting to do a comedy. I think it'll be good. I just don't know if
this is Skylar G. Chisando.
Yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if
he was Jimmy Olsen in the new Superman.
Superman. Yeah, so he's been in a lot of stuff. Obviously, I don't know. Can a comedy be sustained if this is the fourth in the series? I will say it looks like a few too many attacking dog jokes for me.
It was a lot of dogs.
Just in the, which I know that's a thing.
Yeah,
but Robert De Niro's character is like this grizzled person, but I don't know. It could be good. I will probably not rush out to see it, but we'll see. And
it does appear that Barbra Streisand and Dustin Hoffman opted out of this one. I mean, they're not in the cast list
at all. Okay.
At all.
Were they in the third one?
They were in the third one.
Okay.
I just looked it up. I had to verify this. They were introduced in the second film, and then they were actually in the third film.
Okay.
But not in this one.
We're out.
Well, unless they make a surprise, like not on the cast list thing. But yeah. Just for clarity's sake,
sure.
Little Fockers, the third film, the one 16 years ago that we did not see.
Correct.
Directed by Paul Weitz, has a 10% Rotten Tomatoes score at the moment. So, and again, I'm not saying films should all be judged by the Rotten Tomatoes score, but 10%. I mean, come on, that's pretty bad.
Okay. So we're trying to be an optimist here. We often are. The glimmer of hope, even though I didn't see the third installment, to come back after having a film be rated 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's 16 years, I'm hoping that, like, you know what? This is going to be the sequel that maybe that third one should have been. Like, it'll kind of return to glory, the FCU.
Well, it's just funny to see. Yeah, right. You're saying the Meet the Parents is the MCU. So I was saying the Fockers is
FCU, right?
You said
right.
FCU.
Yeah,
Okay.
you return the glory to the FCU.
FCU,
Yeah, if they can do that, because well,
here's what's really funny: Meet the Parents, and again, it's Rotten Tomatoes score.
Sure.
It's all subjective, but just we
there's
have to have some
pure
barometer.
audience score.
The original Meet the Parents back in 2000, so that was 26 years ago.
Wow,
85% Rotten Tomatoes score. In other words, good. People like
that's what I would expect. Yeah, sure.
Meet the Fockers, which happened several years later, 2004.
Okay,
so 4 years later, 38%.
Okay,
so big drop off.
Starting to see the slope.
Yep. Then you get to Little Fockers, the third one, which is in 2010, which was another 6 years after the second one, 10%. A series low. So
Sure.
where will Focker and Law fall? Where it will fall with us and others? I don't know. We'll see. But I didn't really find much in the trailer interesting, but we'll see what happens when the film comes out.
Yeah.
I'm much more trusting of Ben Stiller these days. So this is a question for me of, is this a Ben Stiller just purely a paycheck? Or, I mean, he is listed as a producer of the film, or does he have any emotional investment in wanting to make these movies good? I don't know.
Right.
So,
right.
because I do like what he's doing in the TV space and series and other things right now. So I think he's doing some good things there.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I'd like to see what he's working on. Who knows? All right. Well, that will end our Trailer Tapas section. 3 films we want to highlight in a trailer form. All 3 of them look to be coming out this calendar year, 2026.
Excellent.
So, Chris, we are to the point in the show now where we're ready to hear your recommendation, a film that you'd like to recommend to us to check out if we are so inclined to add something to our ever-growing watch list, a watch list that will never, ever decrease in size, no matter how hard we try to make time to watch things on it. Please give me something else to add to my queue, Chris. I need I need it to grow even longer. So,
well, yeah, I don't want to let you down. Maybe you can keep this on your list until February, because it could be kind of an interesting film to watch around Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess an anti-Valentine's Day movie, but in a way, oh no, I'll just tell you what. The film is Splitsville. It's from 2025. The byline for it is an unromantic comedy. It's streaming on Hulu. I'll give you the plot description here. After Ashley asks for a divorce, good-natured Carrie runs to his friends, Julie and Paul, for support. He's shocked to discover that the secret to their happiness is an open marriage. That is until Carrie crosses the line and throws all their relationships into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So, a film about 2 married couples that then things like devolve and get all crazy and out of control. It is a comedy. It is dark, but it is a comedy, and I really enjoyed it. I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, that looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was from a director, Michael Angelo Covina, who I'm not familiar with. And also another actor, the 2 lead actors in the film, Kyle Marvin. He looked a little bit more familiar, but overall not really familiar with his work. The director and star of the film, Michael Angelo Covino, had done a previous film, and Kyle Marvin was also in that film. So apparently they do have kind of a good working relationship. The person that you will recognize from this film is one Dakota Johnson, who is great in the film. So I really like the film. It has some twists and turns. There's some clever editing and cutting, and it's just some clever ways they kind of allied over time periods and stuff. So if you're in for dark comedy, kind of the idea of a unromantic comedy instead of a romantic comedy, I recommend it. And it's also a breezy 105 minutes. So, so there's that. And it's streaming on Hulu. Obviously, not a family film. So that being said,
good cautionary tale there.
Yes.
It is not a family film, but Splitsville.
Yes.
On Hulu.
Yes.
I remember when this came out last year, and it looked interesting, so I was kind of wanting to watch it. but just never got around to it. So I'm glad to hear your recommendation of it.
And it seems to be one of those films, too, doesn't get the press like something like The Drama does, which that's like a relationship film that you could say, yeah, it was billed as a dark comedy, which, we're like, yeah, it's pretty dark. Same here. But I think people's reaction, it was one of those films that I feel like people either liked or really did not like at all. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see if you do get around to seeing it down, what your thoughts on Splitsville.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for the recommendation.
Sure.
It is on the list. It's been added to the list.
Excellent.
And that's going to wrap it up for today. So we had our review of The Sheep Detectives. We talked about our perceptions of 3 trailers, Fokker-in-Law, the something of something something.
Wizard of the Kremlin. And then Resident Evil.
Yes. I do remember that. And then Chris's recommendation of Splitsville as a film to possibly check out. So, Chris, anybody that likes to talk with us about films, maybe chat online, give us some feedback. Are you the one person out there that saw The Sheep Detectives and hated it for whatever reason?
Right.
Please tell us. We want to know why. And
you're going to criticize the film because sheep can't actually talk.
Right. Yeah, you're one of those realists where it's like, no, this is impossible. Right. So I'm going to give the film bad marks for that
2 thumbs
reason.
down.
Whatever it may be, if you just want to open up a dialogue, how can people do so with us, Chris?
You can contact us by sending an email to info@footcandle.org or leave a voicemail at the mesh.tv website. At that website, you can also check out past Footcandle Film episodes, as well as other podcasts on various subjects from barbecue to comedy to mental health. We're also on Facebook at Footcandle Film Society and other social platforms as Footcandle Film. Do us a favor. If you like the show, consider giving us a review on whatever platform you receive your favorite podcast on, because it will help us reach new listeners. And as Alan mentioned at the beginning of the show, one of the things we're involved with, other than the Film Society, and obviously this podcast, is the 2026 Footcandle Film Festival that'll be running September 18th through the 27th. So you can go ahead and mark your calendars now. We are still receiving submissions for the film festival. So if you're a filmmaker, June 1st is your deadline to submit a film. But not long after that, we'll start trying to hammer out a schedule. So just stay tuned for that.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening and being a part of the Footcandle community here. And we'll look forward to talking to you next time we sit down for a recording. Thanks, everyone.
See you in the ticket line.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are. The films that don't make it to Carmike at the mall, or ones that were famous when Grandpa would watch films out of the reverence of the heritage of an art. Watch films through the courtesy of Footcandle Film Society.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.